Melissa tightened the straps of her worn suitcase as she stepped onto the bus leaving Nairobi. The city's evening lights flickered like distant promises, each one whispering a life she might never have if she stayed. She had no husband, no children, no family expecting her to remain. Only a restless heart and a dream of something bigger, somewhere greener. Malaysia, she had heard, was a land of opportunity, where fortunes could be made, and new lives built. The flight was long, the hours punctuated by the soft hum of engines and the occasional glow of city lights beneath clouds. Melissa stared out the window, tracing patterns in the night. She imagined streets lined with cafes and shops, her own small apartment, a life shaped by her hands. The excitement was dizzying, intoxicating. But beneath it, a faint unease stirred. She brushed it away. Opportunity always carried risk, she told herself. When she arrived in Kuala Lumpur, the air was thick and warm, scented with spices and rain-dampened concrete. The streets were alive, buzzing with motorbikes and chatter. Melissa felt a thrill in every step. She hailed a taxi, showing her address to the driver, repeating it over and over in her head like a mantra: new life. New beginning. Safety. Success. The first few days were promising. Small jobs, small earnings, but enough to rent a tiny room in a bustling district. She met other young women, all chasing dreams, all carrying their own burdens. One evening, at a streetside cafe, a man approached her. He was well-dressed, charming in a way that made Melissa's cautious heart flutter. He spoke of opportunities, work that paid well, promises of stability, comfort, and ease. She hesitated. Something in his eyes flickered strangely, but the image of a better life was too bright, too inviting. Just one meeting, he said smoothly, handing her a card with a nondescript company logo. You see. You're special, Melissa. This could change everything. She nodded. And she said, what harm could one meeting do? The office was sleek and modern, a stark contrast to the crowded streets she had navigated for days. Clean floors, glass walls, air-conditioned calm. She followed him into a room where other young women sat quietly, some staring at their phones, some staring at the walls. A receptionist smiled politely, and for a moment, Melissa allowed herself to believe she had stepped into her dream. But the air felt colder here, the smiles thinner. The charm of her guide faltered. Questions came, vague, probing, unnerving, about her health, her family back home, her willingness to travel further. Melissa laughed nervously, masking the unease coiling in her stomach. Days passed. Her assignments became stranger, requiring her to meet people she didn't know, sign documents she didn't fully understand. Always polite, always reassuring, her guides insisted everything was legitimate, safe. But the warmth of the city streets seemed to fade behind the glossy walls of offices and hotels. One night, Melissa returned to her tiny rented room to find it emptied. Her few belongings gone, the papers she thought were harmless now vanished. A note lay on the pillow: don't try to find us. You made the choice. Panic tightened her chest. She ran to the streets, shouting for help, but the crowds moved past her without notice. The city that had once promised life now swallowed her into its shadows. She realized, too late, that the world she had chased with hope had another plan. Melissa's story ended in whispers: a missing person notice in a newspaper back home, a name mentioned quietly by officials, a rumor that she had been taken by people who preyed on the dreams of the desperate. No one knew the full truth, and those who might have told it had vanished into silence. Yet, in her absence, a lesson lingered: dreams are fragile, hope can blind, and sometimes, the path to a greener pasture is lined with shadows that move when you are not looking.